Hey folks, Steve Alcorn here with you once again with another fix it or fail video. This one will be a fix, I'm sure. Just remember that I'm an amateur. I have no clue what I'm doing. However, some things are easy to do and some things are not. You can see this pretty cool clock here. This is the Telechron, and it's model 8B07. So look that up on eBay. These white ones don't come up very often. I believe this is not even Bakelite. I think it's something else, but it's from that era. It's from the 1930's. As you can see, it's a roll clock. So the numbers roll instead of flip. And that's the bottom if you're interested. You can actually change your time by doing that number. And the model numbers and all that are over here. It's hard to show on camera, but I'll try. Maybe you can get a good look at that. There you go. Maybe that'll help. A little bit of light. So anyway, this clock does in fact work, but as you can see, that cord is rough. It's the old style cord. Even has a little repair tag on it from sometime in the past, but I'll plug it in briefly because I don't want to blow anything up or ruin the clock, just to show you that these numbers do turn. I don't know if you can hear it. It is running. If you look right into this little slot there, it is turning. Let me see if I can get some light on that. It takes a while, but it does go. Anyway, it does work, but we're going to go ahead and change this cord out. It says $3 on it. The fact is that I got this out of a free box at a yard sale. I'm trying to hold it long enough for that time to change for you. There's some other issues with this clock as far as needing cleaned up. There it goes. I hear it. It's gone. It's about ready to go. I think I see it moving. Oh, that's not going yet. Anyway, the insides are probably fairly dirty, and it does need a good cleaning, I'm sure. There is a mark where there was an old sticker on it right there. It did not go this time. I want to make sure it does before we go ahead and do everything, because if it doesn't work, then it's a bigger job. But I think when it got to about 30 seconds, it did move, so it has to have been more than a minute. Didn't it say 50 when I started? I don't know. But anyway, we're going to watch it until it gets to, it is at 50 seconds right now. It is at 55 seconds, so that should flip over. And if it doesn't, we'll try to figure that out as well. I did have this working one day. Yeah, so that isn't working. So we're going to have to address that as well. Unplug it, which is odd because I did have it working. There's a flip switch in here. I don't know what that does. That might be a tensioner. This just takes flathead screws, as you can see. That's another indication of its age. This was the very first roll style clock. Before this, they weren't. Let me make sure that 1 and 2 moves. Before this, they were just regular dial clocks and things like that. And this was actually pretty revolutionary for its time, from what I understand. I don't know 100%, but that's what I read up on it. The white one doesn't come up very often, so I don't know how to price this thing. But the brown ones can get anywhere from $50 to $150. So this is the white with the brown base. Like I said, it's model 8B07 electric clock. So we're going to go ahead and take the bottom off. And the first thing we're going to do is, I think I only have to take these 4 screws out of the corners because this holds the mechanism in, and we may need to take that out, but right now we do not. So we're just going to go ahead and take this bottom out. And here's some people coming down the stairs. We should be all right though. I'm using my new Yeti X, but I haven't got the program on this particular computer, so I don't know how the sound is going to come across. But I can tell you, when you play with the Yeti X and use the program that you download with it, it is a very, very nice microphone. But I don't know. Ooh, I love having a magnetic tip because it pulls that right up out of there. And if I do get interrupted during doing this, I will pause and pick right back up from where I left off. But for right now, the main concern is getting the cord changed, and then we'll work on that mechanism and see whether or not something just slipped or a spring came loose or something. I'm sure that there's a lot of springs and stuff like that in this one. I have had the bottom off, but I didn't really inspect it. I just wanted to see what I needed to get to change the cord out. I like the look of the old cord. You can buy them new reproductions, but for the purposes of this video, I haven't done that. I just used a cord off of another clock that I got in the same free box. So this was the reason I picked up this particular free box, is because I saw this clock in it. We're going to get a little bucket over here for our screws. I always keep something for the screws because I will lose them. Okay, so this should just lift out. Yep, there we go. Look how dirty that is in there. So that's going to need a good cleaning. It looks like it got really hot. Well, look how dirty that is. I don't know if that's dirt. It was in a fire. I have no clue. So this is what the inside looks like. I don't actually see any springs in there. So I don't know what's going on with why that time didn't change. Oh, there is one spring right there. It looks like that may be the only one, and it is really loose, but I don't know what it actually does. So I'm not very into old electronics. There's a lot of grime right in that area. It didn't heat up at all. That's good. I don't know what that little number. Oh, that's part of the motor. There's a motor right in there. But it's a pretty simple mechanism. That they all do seem to work. There is another little one over there for the seconds. So we're going to go ahead and take the cord off first, and then we'll plug it back in so we can see what's going on. So I don't know that I need any flux on this one. It may just heat right up because it's just soldered on. If I can get it to heat up and just come right off, that'll be fine. I don't know how they're... Oh, they're just in through a hole there. I see. That's pretty cool, actually. I may need to suck the solder right up out of that hole. Okay, that came right off. Look at that crumbling, though. This cord is so old. You should not do what I did and plug in old electronics. If I was really wanting to do things and keep the old look to it, I could take this end off probably. And let's see how that's attached in there. But again, it's old. It does look pretty clean in there, though. It's old, and I'd be afraid of a malfunction or something. So we're going to go ahead and set that cord to the side. This is the new cord. It's just off of a regular clock. We're going to look in these holes to see if there's still holes. No, I'm going to have to get my solder sucker and suck that solder right up out of there. Solder suckers are the bomb, by the way. They are really cool little devices to have, and hopefully it works properly while I'm showing it to you. So this is a solder sucker. The idea behind it is you pull, let's see, you push down on that, you push down on that, and you heat up your solder here, and then you keep this behind it, and boom, that sucks it right in. It's actually pretty neat. This is a cheap one. They do make a little bit better ones. So we're going to see if we can get this to work. I'm going to get that soldered all liquidy. It sometimes takes a couple tries. Yep, that one actually worked the first try. And I'll do the second one, and I'll show you the results of that. I really like this. It works really good on electronic components, like circuit boards and things like that. That one actually pulled out without the solder sucker, but I don't want it sitting on the side here, so we're gonna, it didn't work exactly the way I had planned, but now I got it on my table. So it's a little vacuum cleaner, kind of. You get the gist. A little solder on the motor there. I don't want that. Get that off of there. There we go. Alright, so it looks like, I'm going to double check and make sure, but it looks like both holes are now clear. So I don't know if you can see that, but both holes right in here now are clear of solder. So that actually works out pretty well. So what we need to do now is strip the end of this cord. And I've learned from the past videos that this thing is the best tool to do that job with. So we're going to do it with this instead of trying to you know, cheap out. As long as you have it on the right setting. So I don't. I'm going to go down one more. There we go. See how nice and easy that is when you do it right? This pulls it right off. We'll twist that because it's got to go in that little hole. And before we solder it in, we'll tin it. Just like we always do. You can't really tin the hole because I don't think it would work. That solder does stick to it, so that's good. Look how nice and easy that is. When you have the right tools for the job, it works out pretty easy. This whole kit cost me very little money. So I want to say I'm into this, everything you see here on the table for under $30, so it's not that bad. So we're going to just go ahead and heat up that wire and put a little bit of solder on it, see if that'll work. Oops. I may have to use some flux. I don't know. I'm not very good at this. I actually didn't tin my iron. You tin your iron first. Clean that off a little. There. See, now it kind of makes that end shiny. Now it should work. There it goes. Yeah, it'll just suck right in there. It's really nice, actually, how easy and nice that works. Like I said, I'm probably not doing everything correctly. This is probably not the right way to do things, but it's how I do them. And it seems to work most of the time. See if we get that solder on there. I want it to be real nice and not have any little hangy offies. So we're going to clean our table up a little bit. I'm getting solder on my nice eBay photo taking table, but that's okay because this is where I'm going to work today. So I don't think there's a polarity issue on this one, but if we wanted to check, we could take a multimeter if we knew which one was plus and which one was minus. These are not marked as far as I can tell, and the old ones weren't either, so I don't think it really matters, but I could be wrong about that. So all I'm going to do with this one is just put it in there, and like the old ones were just stuck in there like that, so we're just going to put it in. Actually, I should probably made it a little long. Hold on a second. Let's see if I can fold that over. What I think I'm going to do is tin a little bit more of that, get it in there, and then I'll clip off the excess so that it's not touching the body of this motor, although it has a coating on it, so it's not metal, but I still want to make sure I'm doing this right. So we'll go ahead and tin a little bit more. Down here towards that way I don't have to do it all over again. There, that worked out a lot better this time. Really nice. If you do things right, or at least think you're doing, I think I'm doing it right, I don't know. This one is having a little bit harder time, but close enough for an amateur. I'm just going to go ahead and stick them both in there. One on the top. Well, I probably ought to start with the bottom one. That'd probably be easier. And I think I'll do one at a time. I'm just going to put a little bend in it if I can so that it doesn't fall back out on me. And then we'll just go ahead and solder that in. And hopefully we get it right. Can't tell. Oh yeah, that's in there. It's in there nice. I want to get it on this side because this is the side I'm keeping, obviously. So we want to make sure that it's good and tight in there. It looks real nice. But now it's loose because it's still hot. We have to wait for it to set up. There we go. It's actually working pretty good. Much better than I expected. Okay, we'll put the top one in. We'll leave, because the original one did have that little bit here, so we'll just leave it. It won't matter because this is like got a coating on it. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing so that doesn't move. Pull a little bit out. We'll go ahead and heat up that wire and get a little bit of solder in there. Let's see if we can get some in this side and see where we're at. Oh yeah, looks good. The top one went a little bit easier than the bottom one, but you can see those are nice and secure now. There's solder on both sides of it. So we're going to go ahead and get our clippers and clip the end off. We'll use our nice fancy clippers today. A little girly, but that's okay. We don't mind that. Nothing wrong with that. Just clip the excess off so it's not... Let me get a little bit more. I'll turn those around so we can actually get a little bit closer. Just checking again that they're nice and tight. Alright, I think what I want to do is, I don't like how much is hanging out there. I'm going to push it in further. And all I got to do is reheat that solder, and then it'll get nice and solid after that. Because I just didn't like how much was hanging out. Okay, that's all cut off. There is still some hanging out on this side, but it won't hurt anything. Won't hurt anything. There was a little blob of solder I didn't care for. Right. Nice and tight, nice and tight. So the original one had a little knot in there, so what I probably should have done is tied the knot first, but we're going to try it. Let's see, how will I do this? I'm not very good at knot tying, but we're going to make it work. We need the knot to be way up in there. And that's just to keep it in. Instead of having a stress relief, this was their version of stress relief back in the day. So I think if we just stick all that right down in there, when we put it back together, it should be good. Okay, that's nice and tight. So when it comes out this hole right, I heard something. It comes out that hole right there. It won't slide all the way through, and that's your stress relief. And then it'll be like that. Okay, so we're going to plug this back in, and hopefully we didn't do anything wrong. Right now, I'm going to unplug the soldering iron so it doesn't overheat. And we'll see if they move this time. Okay, I can hear it moving. I don't know if you can see it. Let's see. But this little wheel in here is moving and making clicky noises, so we're watching for these to move on their own and not with my help. I don't know what all this stuff does, but it does. It is moving, so that's good. So I'm hoping, let me turn that so you guys can see it. There it goes. See that? It moved. Oh wow, so we're okay then. I don't know why it didn't move the first time, but it's moving now. I'm just looking around to see what's going on in this thing. We're going to wait one more time, make sure that revolution goes again. That little second hand thing in there is still turning. And we'll unplug it, we'll give it a nice cleanup. Let's see. We're looking for this one right here to move. And it should be shortly. And I verified that they all do move. I set it to like 659 or something. Oh, that dropped. There it goes. See it? Alright, so I'm pretty sure it's going to work. We'll do a final test at the end. I'll put it at like 659 so we can see all of them moving. This indicates AM or PM, I believe. So if you have it like that, it's one. If you have it like that, it's the other. I'm not 100% certain. If you can see that it's changing from white to red. So I don't know how you make that work. But somehow it works. I think there's a lever underneath, but Well, that lever doesn't actually do anything that I can see. But anyway, we're going to unplug it, clean her up, and go from there. So right now I'm just going to use isopropyl like I use for everything else, because it is the least obtrusive thing you can use on electronics, and especially vintage electronics, and it does a good job cleaning things. So I've got my just regular Q-tips, cotton swabs if you're from somewhere else, and we're just going to go ahead and give it a nice clean. Right now I'm just going in the ridges like right here. Sorry if the camera angle isn't always the best. I have a fixed camera. It's just a webcam. Wow, look at all that filth on there. We're going to try to keep using this same Q-tip just to get this worst of this going. I'm hoping to get the whole 150 for this, since I've replaced the cord now. In electronics, vintage electronics, it's okay to replace a cord as long as you're doing it correctly. Because if you don't, it can be a fire hazard and nobody wants to die. So dying is less fun than having a vintage clock. So, oh wow, there's so much dirt in here. I doubt that this thing is ever gonna... Well, there was a service tag. I couldn't read it, so I don't know what year, but it's definitely an early service tag on this thing. So it has been opened, but I'm going to guess that it was opened way back in the 30s or 40s when it was fairly new still. I wouldn't know what kind of grease or oil to put on this thing, so it's clear that there was some at one point. So we're going to have to address that issue too. Oh, this looks like mud when I'm done with it. And that's because it has been in here forever, and I'm using the same Q-tip over and over just to get this loose, and then we'll go ahead with a clean one, or even use one of these makeup deals. So I think I'm ready for the makeup deal, actually, on this outer edge. I enjoy doing things like this. I'm not exactly sure why the clock didn't work the first time. This, I think, was up like that, and I don't think that's correct. Probably when I took it apart that might have... Well, no, because I hadn't taken it apart yet. So I'm not exactly certain what was going on there, but still pretty dirty. Might have to do a... Might have to take this all the way apart and do soap and water, but I'm not going to do that for this video. I'm just trying to give it a nice general clean, see what we can get it to look like. Lots of dirt, though. The inside doesn't matter quite as much as far as cosmetically, although I wonder if these will come nice and clean. I could do every single letter. There's some writing on the side. ICM 776 777, so I'm going to guess that's 775. Okay. So right now I'm not going to go thoroughly and clean it. We're going to put it back together here in a minute. It almost looks like this face has moved over, but I don't think it has, because this lines up. This does come off with 2 screws, but I don't want to take those off because I don't know if there's glue under there, and I just don't want to get too heavily involved in it. Oh, let me go back to a Q-tip. But as you can see, there's like little marks on the side here, but there's none of... Well, there, I guess there is. Maybe it's just discoloration. Some of the paint has come off. I don't know. We're just going to go ahead and clean it up anyway. And when I'm done, I'll show it totally cleaned up. And just look how much dirt is on that. From years and years of use. It probably served somebody really well over the years. We want the outside to look really nice. The inside, as long as it's clean and functional, we'll be okay with it. The outside for a collector is the more important part, because they want to look at it. So the inside doesn't have to be perfect, as long as it's clean and functional. I would guess. Anyway, I'm not a clock collector. Okay, so we got to be careful around here. It's chipping some of that off, but it has some character. I don't know what all this yellowness is. if I sit here and clean the whole thing on video, it's going to take forever. So we'll probably clean it off camera and then show you the final results. But I'll show putting it back together. It's just a reverse of opening it. And I do want to show you how dirty this inside is, though. I don't know if it's coming across on camera, but check this out. Look at that. So we'll clean that one up real quick before we put it back together. And I think this was another successful fix. We'll let it run for a little bit, and I'll put that on camera too, and really give it a good clean. And then we'll have a better judgment call on this one. But I wasn't even certain if what this was when I picked it up. Look at that. Look how dirty that is. That's the clean side. It's not going to be perfect by any means. I might have to take this one to the sink. I think that's what I'm going to do with it. I'll take it to the sink. I'm not going to take the base off and take that to the sink, although I could. Let's see how hard that would be to do. It's just 2 screws holding it on. So let's see how that comes off, and hopefully we don't screw anything up when we do it, because that would suck. There we go. 1. I will work on camera angles. This isn't my main YouTube focus, so I just like doing this, and doing it on camera adds a little bit more pressure. Makes me feel like I have to get it right. But sometimes that can cause mistakes too, so it's nice. Oh, look at that, would you? That is the mechanism from the inside. It's a pretty cool little device. This was revolutionary for its time. I read up enough on it to know that the guy who created this, I mean, it was revolutionary. But look how dirty. But I'm going to pause the video right now. And I'm going to go clean this up. Then I'll have to stitch the videos together so you guys can see it as an unedited, well, it'll still be edited, unedited cut, but we're going to get right back to this as soon as I find that screw and put it in there. All right, we'll be right back. All right, folks, I'm back, as promised, from cleaning the outside. And let's see what it looks like. So this is it without the case on. It is not perfect. It's still discolored there. There's some discoloring, yellowing, and stuff like that, but it does look a lot better. I don't know what this markings are down here. The bottom is okay. There's a mark there. I don't know what all that is. I scrubbed the heck out of it. The inside, though, look at that. How nice that came out. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better, and that's the inside of the bottom. So we're going to go ahead and put this back together. I haven't cleaned the face of the clock yet as well as I should, so maybe I should do that while I'm still here. Look at that, though. Look how much dirt was in that thing. And it still operated out after all those years. It's pretty amazing that things can go through that kind of abuse. That's how they built things back then. If they can go through that kind of abuse and still operate after all those years. I'm going to use a rag instead of a thing because I think I can get a little bit more. Now, if we can't get this super clean, that's okay. That adds, in my opinion, to the appeal of the item, as long as it ain't really, really, really bad. We're going to go ahead and try to get it right in there. We want to be careful around these outer edges, though, because they do chip off a little bit. But I'm trying to get this, there's some yellowing and stuff on there, and that's really what I'm trying to get to. I will go through and individually clean every number on this thing, but for this video we just wanted to make sure we could get it working and cleaned up a little bit, functional, so that I can leave it plugged in for a little while and make sure that it's going to work. And I'm confident now that it's fairly safe to run, although I will do a little cleaning on the inside just before I actually leave it run too long. So there's some grime and stuff in this area, but really it isn't that bad. So I think I'll just leave it be for now, and we'll test it out. Then we'll give it a nice good cleaning. Everything seems to be functioning properly. That little one over there works, I know it does. So I'll go back and clean every one of these, and then I will put a picture at the end. And if it doesn't come any cleaner, that's fine too. So that just sits right back down in there, I think, fairly simply. Yep, fits in there real nice. We'll get the two bigger headed screws and screw that back in. The idea behind this clock was to have a really nice clock, but a really simple clock. Simple to use. It has a lot of moving parts, but not as many as I actually expected. I expected there to be more. So the simplicity of the design was really, I think, what set this style clock. GE copied this, a bunch of other. In fact, I think GE took this company over, something like that. I don't recall the history of the entire history of this company, but GE made clocks like this. Everybody copied this design, and this was the clock that made that. I think there might be an earlier version, slightly, of this clock, but it's all based off the same design. The outside changed a little bit. There are different color variations and stuff like that, but for the most part, I'm going to move some stuff so I can have more room here. So we're just going to stick the cord in there like that so it comes out that little hole. Make sure it's not here. We don't want that. Putting the knot right there where, turn it out a little bit so you can see it. Put the knot right there. Make sure those are still nice and tight. They are. Slide that down over. And let's see what it looks like now. So there is a big difference from the beginning to the end. It's not perfect. It's never going to be perfect. There's so much grime on this thing. But we'll plug it in and make sure it works. When we're done, of course, after I get these 4 screws in. I'm pretty confident it worked before I changed the cord. It worked slightly poorly in the demonstration at the beginning, and it worked after I changed the cord, so it's okay. I'm fairly confident this thing is going to have a long life after this. Collector who buys it, I don't know if they'd actually run it. I would. I'd enjoy the beauty of it. I would love to keep it actually, but I really don't have a place for it. It doesn't match. Well, I guess it would match some things in my house, but not enough to justify keeping it as opposed to selling it, because this is one of the better items I've showed on Fix It or Fail as far as profit goes. I mean, it's 100% profit because I found it in a free box, and they were just, in fact, these guys were eBay sellers. And this is just the stuff, I got a whole box of stuff that they just didn't want to deal with. They didn't have time to research or do. And like I said, I didn't know if this particular clock was anything special. Although I do know enough to know that anything that has flip or roll can be good. So what we're going to do now is set the time to, I don't know, 4. We want to set each one of them individually. We want 59. Oh, it's super hard. I gotta do that again. Let me do this one first. My fingers are too big. There we go. I got it. We'll put it on 4:59. Okay. And then I'm going to plug it in again. Now, I don't know whether or not collectors like to replace their own cords, but I would not feel safe selling this. I can hear it running, so I know it still runs after we put it all back together and cleaned it. But I wouldn't feel comfortable selling this with the old cord on it, just because in my mind that's not a very, there it goes. Look at that. Did you see that? So now we know they all work. Oh, that was a thing of beauty. I still don't know how to change the, I want to see if I keep rolling, if this little red mark will change. Doesn't appear to. I don't know what the red mark does, but I think it's an AM PM indicator. So it probably has to do with these ones here, maybe? And how many times they roll? I don't know. But we're going to do it one more time. We're going to put that at 59 again. Stay there. hands off. Let's watch it roll again. This is exciting. To see an old piece of technology like this still working in this day and age with no real repair done to it is an amazing thing to me. We should be getting close to the switchover. I messed with it, so it'd probably take a little bit longer, and hopefully switching it like that when it's moving, when it's on, won't hurt anything. I see some movement? No, not yet. And I'm going to hit the vape while I'm waiting. So, to those of you who had a noise, I'm sorry, but I'm going to continue to do it. Alright, so it's not... We're at 40 seconds. We'll wait a little bit longer. I hear movement. Come on. Come on, baby. Do your thing. So it's clear to me that we still have some more work to do on this thing. It doesn't always want to switch. Let me unplug it. It may be because I did it while it was going. So we're going to unplug it. We're going to switch to 6:59 because I didn't change the hour. We're going to plug her back in and try her one more time. When I did this before, I left it run for a little while, even with the old cord on it. And it did switch all the numbers. And it kept a really good time. So it kept proper time. I timed it with a time stopwatch. It may just need lubricated inside, which I can do. We're at 40 seconds. 45. 50. 55. There it goes. So it seems to me that you need to unplug it when you go to change it, and then it'll work properly. So anyway, that's it for this Fix It or Fail video. If you enjoyed what you saw, please like it. Share if you think this will help somebody else out. Subscribe if you haven't already. And thanks for watching.